أنا اسمي ديفيد بولس. أنا محامي هنا في تامبا. وأنا سبيشالايز في الاستيت بلاننج، الوصية والتراستس والجارديانشيب والسبيشال نيدز جارديانشيبس. So كنت عايز أتكلم just a little bit كده على wills and trusts. Okay. Better? Yeah, okay. So yeah, بس كنت عايز اكلمكم شويه على wills and trusts basics كده على wills والوصيه والtrusts, which one is going to be better for it depending on each family. بس I'll explain كده شويه. أول حاجة, what is the estate planning? Okay, estate planning is financial. كلكم عارفين كل is البانك accounts والfinancials وكل حاجة. بس it also كده is your retirement. IRAs وال401ks, it also deals with that. والbusinesses بتاعكم, هتعملوا ايه مع البيزنس بعد الشراء اي حاجة happens. Charities هنا في الكنيسة, we all want to make sure that we donate in charity, so you can make sure في الوصية that you instruct what you want to do with your charities. Estate planning is medical, so أي حاجة, if you need a medical decision that you cannot make on your own, that handles that. Disability, that handles with disability. Gifting, and then legacy. Legacy is أي حاجة that is not financial, not tangible. زي you want to pass down الfaith بتاعكم. You want to pass down a cookbook or أي حاجة زي كده, something that's not financial كده. So كل حد, who needs an estate plan? Everyone needs an estate plan. كل حد. It doesn't matter into how much you're making, how much you have, how many houses that you have. It doesn't matter. Everyone needs it. عشان the biggest thing that you need to take from tonight is you want to avoid probate. Probate is the court system that you have to go through if you don't have a will or if you don't have a trust. So in order to avoid بتروح المحكمة وحد القاضي, he makes كل decisions. You avoid that by having a will or having a trust كده. So that's the best and easiest way is to avoid المحكمة and the قاضي making the decisions, is to have your plan ready before أي حاجة happens. Understanding what is your estate plan. Everyone you know that your house has an estate plan. I'm sorry, your house is the tangible assets. So assets بتاعكم الhouse, or vehicles بتاعكم, clothing, personal items كده. بس also you have to think about bank accounts. You have to think about كل retirement plans, life insurance. You have to think about business بتاعكم, or the stocks or bonds or أي حاجة زي كده. It's not only just البيت والعربية. It's also has to do with the bank accounts. For instance, if you don't plan accordingly, if انت عندكم bank account, your husband or your wife can't get into the bank account, you have to go to the court to get permission to go into the bank account if one of you pass away. So you have to keep all that in mind. So something is very simple كده. The bank accounts, I have a lot of clients that come in, they're married, and the husband passes away and the wife can't get into the bank account. So you have to make sure that you have everything set up كده. If it's joint, it's okay, but if it's a separate account, if one person has one account and the other person has a different account, the spouse cannot get into the bank account. So that's it's really important. What you do with the house afterwards. The house is important too. عشان you have to go through and get an approval من القاضي that you pass down the house. So it depends on how you write the deed of the house. There's a lot of different things that you have to kind of look into, and we can talk about it later. But You have to make sure that everything is planned the way that you want it to plan. So it's just easier on your spouse or on the kids. It doesn't cost as much. So it's very, very important to have it. Um, the first question I ask is how many of you have a will or have a trust or have anything set up? You have to think about that. And the next question is it up to date? Yeah, I have a lot of clients that they made a will or a trust, 10, 15 years ago. But so things are different now, and the laws are different. So you have to keep updating it every 4 or 5 years, kida. The reason for every 4 or 5 years is every 4 years, in the United States, we have our president election. Elections decide the president. When the new president comes in, he changes the tax laws, he changes the estate laws. So every 4 or 5 years is a good time to just look at everything. You don't have to change it if nothing you need to change, but if something the laws have changed, or if you now have a new family where you have a new baby, or a new house or investment properties, then you need to start to look and see what we can change and what we can how to protect yourself. So first question is, do you have a will? Do you have a trust? And the next question is, if you do, then is it up to date? So that's the first question. I know everyone is asking, well, what's the difference between a will? What's the difference between a trust? A will simply is a document that tells everyone, this is what I want to do with my assets, my things. Okay. The will, you still have to go to al-muhkama. You still have to have a judge approve it. So a will does not take you out of probate. It doesn't take you out of the court. The court still. Huh? No, the will is the what you want to do. It's a document that you is saying, this is what I want to do with the house. This is who's going to get the house. This is going to get the car, or the bank accounts. The trust is a different document, a different type of document. The trust gives instructions. So for instance, my trust, I have instructions that say, the life insurance plan that I have, when my son turns 18, I'm going to give $50,000 for his car. When he graduates college, I'm going to give $100,000 to pay off his college. When he gets married, I'm going to give another $100,000 to buy a house or pay for the wedding. So you have more specific instructions that a trustee, so the person that's handling all of your assets, then will start to use those instructions to give out your stuff. The will, all it says is the house is going to my kids, and that's it. And then the judge has to approve it. Okay? With the trust, you don't have to do that. The trust stays out of the court system. So usually, depending on what the family is, I usually recommend a trust. Yeah. So that is the best way to avoid going through the courts, and your instructions are very specific on what you want to do. So that's typically what I want. You can do both, yeah, and so a lot of times if you have minor kids, the one thing that the trust doesn't do is it doesn't give guardianship over your kids. So ba'da shar, anything happens to you and your spouse at the same time, then you have to need a will to say, this is the person that's going to take care of my kids. If we both pass away. So the trust doesn't do that. So if you have minor kids, you have to have both to do that. Sometimes I also talk to families, and I say, you have the will that says the guardian who's going to take care of my kids, but it's a different person that is going to handle my finances, because sometimes there's two different people that will be better for that each position. So you can do one person, it's okay, but a lot of times I would recommend two people. It depends on what the family, and it depends on everything. But usually the trust is better, because it avoids going to the court. If you have a will, you still have to go to court and get it approved. It's easier, but you have to still go to court to get approved. If you don't have anything, so you don't have a will, you don't have a trust, then the judge is going to decide where everything is going. So that's the worst case scenario. So you want to make sure you have at least something there that tells the judge or tells your family what you want to do with everything. Okay. No. The kids don't go to foster care. So if there's no will, the judge is going to decide who's going to take care of that person. Is it going to be this tita over here, or that tita over there, or this sister over here? It's still going to go to family. I'm not going to say that the judge is going to send them somewhere else, but then the judge is going to decide who is the best person from each family to take care of the kids. That might not be the same person that you would have picked. Correct. Correct. Exactly. So it might not be the person you pick. It might be, I have my brother, or I have, brother-in-law or sister-in-law, and they pick someone else. I don't, and that's who I would have not picked. So so you have to be very careful about that. Okay. Thank you. Um, So, like I said, estate planning, goals that I always do is avoid probate. The probate is al-muhkama, or the judge that's going to decide kull haga. The trust is the only way to avoid probate. Okay, so that's typically what I recommend. What? Oh yeah, and that's a good point. The probate is a lot more expensive than to prepare a will or to prepare a trust. Usually, a will or a trust is going to be somewhere around one, two, $3,000. If you go to probate, it's going to average cost of probate is going to be 20 to 25,000. So you have to be careful about that, and you have to need an attorney. So those are going to be expensive. So I know it's a lot to spend $2 or $3,000 now to plan, but it's going to be much better than spending 25,000 when you pass away. And now the kids have to deal with it, and it's coming out of the estate. Some of the assets you won't be able to afford that money. So you want to make sure you plan accordingly. The other goal is to reduce taxes. That's a big thing to do. Is you plan to reduce the taxes. There is taxes in Florida. There's taxes in federal for the estate. So if you plan correctly, it's going to help with the reduce your taxes that the kids have to pay after you pass away. It also helps you with control. You can decide where the kids are going to go. You can decide where your house or where your car or where the money from the life insurance is going to go. You decide that. You put it in the trust, and that's how you tell the court, this is what I want, and then it avoids the court. If you don't have anything, the judge is going to decide where everything is going. Okay, and it's still going to go to your family. I'm not saying that the judge is going to give it. The state is going to take it. No, they're not going to take it. The government's not going to take your stuff, but they're going to decide on who gets what. Usually it's the kids, and they split it. But sometimes you want to give to charity. Sometimes you want to give to your sister or your brother, and not the kids. Or so you want to make sure that you have control. The next thing is the liability protection. Number four, the liability protection is important. Kullina, we're young, inshallah, that we have a long life to live. But the estate planning helps with the protection of your assets. Kullina, we work hard to buy the house. We work hard to build our savings. You want to make sure that you protect it. This is a way to protect it from creditors. So if anything happens, you get into a car accident, the creditor doesn't take the things that you earned, and you keep it for your kids later on. So it's important to plan now, even though we're young and we still have a long time. It's important to protect your assets. The disability, number five, disability is important. The power of attorney and a healthcare designation. If you get into an accident or you become old and you can't make decisions by yourself, you have to have a plan for that, okay? Because at that point, once you can't make a medical decision or a financial decision, then you have to get a guardianship. You have to get the court to approve who's going to make those decisions for you. Okay, it's not just my spouse or my kids. They're going to make the decision. You have to go to the court to do that. And I have a lot of cases where the mom is unable to make decisions, and the family is fighting on what to do with mom's medical and mom's finances. So you want to make sure that you do that correctly now, so you avoid having the fighting between the families and having to go to the judge to say this is the person that's going to make the decision for mom or dad. Okay, so it's important. And then obviously number six is reduce litigation. So you want to avoid as much as you can to get out of the court and avoid any type of fighting. So the way to do that is you plan now, you give your instructions in the will or in the trust, and then no one can fight over that because you gave the instructions. So it's important. Um, like I said, the basic documents that I can help you with or that you need is the wills. We talked about the wills. That's just telling you people this is where everything is going. You still need to go to get it, the court approved. The trust, the revocable and irrevocable trust. That's the best way to avoid the judge, avoid the court, because then the trustee who you pick, the person that you trust, is going to be the one that takes everything and gives it to everyone. So you don't need the judge to do that. The disability, and I just talked about, el power of attorney. The power of attorney is just for financial. I'll get to you one second. Yeah. The medical power of attorney and the living will. Everyone here I know talks about what I want a living will. That's just to make the decisions, the medical decisions. So it's important to have that because then you don't have fighting between the families on what to do with mom or dad or whoever. So yep. Okay, good question. Yeah, a revocable trust is something that you can revoke. You can change it, or you can, completely get rid of it. Usually, I recommend a revocable trust when you're a little bit younger because you have obviously some life to go, and you want to be able to change it if anything. You want to make sure that if you add kids to the family, or if you lose someone, a mom or a dad that's in the trust, you can still change it. If you get divorced, for instance, you can change it. The irrevocable means that you can't change it at all. So once you sign it, you cannot change it. You have to go to the court to change it then at that point. So usually I'll recommend irrevocable if there's Medicare issues. If you're applying for Medicare, that is a good way to avoid issues with Medicare. And then, no, there's differences. Medicare and Medicaid. I can't. I'm sorry. No, I know. Correct. But if you go to the hospital and Medicare or Medicaid pays your bill, if you don't have an irrevocable trust or if you don't have it planned out, they're gonna come back and get it from your estate. They're gonna put a lien on your estate and they're gonna come get it. So that's why you have to make sure whoever you go to, you talk to them about the Medicare, Medicaid issues because they have to plan correctly. Some people, some attorneys will go and just give you any form trust or any form will, and they mess your benefits up. So you have to be careful. So it's important to know, if you're in Medicare or if you have Medicaid. Medicaid, you want to make sure that you're planning 5 years ahead because they have a 5-year look back with Medicaid. So if you move any assets within those 5 years, Medicaid is going to come back and say, that bill for the hospital that I just paid, I'm going to get it back from your estate. So you have to plan accordingly. So there's a lot of different things that you have to do. So to make sure that you tell your attorney that, or whoever's making a plan. Be careful about the online forms because they don't do what I'm talking to you about. They're just going to give you a form and that's applied all over the United States. So be careful about going online and getting the $50 will or whatever. I know it's cheaper, but it could hurt you later on. So um, the I keep talking about el probate and the court. What is the court going to decide? If you don't have a will or if you don't have a trust, anything that's the property solely in your name. So if you have a bank account that is just in your name, like you were saying, or a home just in your name, or anything that's just in your name, that has to go to the court to get approved. Like I said, a will does not avoid a probate. If you have joint property, you don't have to worry about it. It'll automatically go. So if your house is you and your husband or you and your wife, don't have to worry. It's going to automatically go to your wife or your husband when you pass away. The issue is right. Then the issue is after the second person passes away, then you have to go to the court to get it approved. So this all avoids all that. So life insurance, retirement plans, all of that, anything that is a policy, a contract that you signed and has a beneficiary that you say, okay, my life insurance plan, my three kids are going to get 1/3. Okay, if you put in your will or in your trust that I want someone else to get it. The will is not going to be valid on that point. The life insurance, whatever you put on the beneficiary for your life insurance, your retirement, the IRA, it supersedes the will or the trust. So it's going to make that. So you have to make sure that the life insurance is and the beneficiaries are up to date. I had a client that got divorced and forgot that he kept his ex-wife on the policy, and she ended up getting all of the life insurance and not the kids and not the new wife. So be careful, okay? You have to keep it updated. So that's some of the things that I'll talk to you about when we meet and make sure of that. Here, I know a lot of people ask what's the benefits between the will and the trust. Um, the reason why I like the revocable trust better is it gives you more options. It gives you better coverage and it protects you better. The trust is a little bit more expensive than the will, but it's going to give you more protection and helps you later on, once you pass away. And it honestly makes everything, your kids, it makes it easier for your kids and it makes it cheaper for your kids. So it's just more beneficial. So um, when should you update your estate, or when should you get an estate? Obviously, if you get a new job and you get a big bonus, or you get something where it's you win the lottery. Hopefully, everybody. If you have a change of family, you have a new baby, you have things like that, or you want to look at it when you have someone passes away. Usually, all of my clients come when someone passes away. Unfortunately, so that's when they start to think about it. It's important to think about it now before any of this happens. And like I said, before you become um, unable to make decisions, that's important. You have to be able to do that before you become mentally incapacitated. So why does your assets go and fade away? It's a lack of knowledge, like I said, a lack of foresight, and then a lack of prioritizing. So you just don't think that you have time, and inshallah, we all have a lot of time left, but it's just like insurance, like car insurance. We all have car insurance. Hopefully, we don't get into an accident, but you have to plan for that. It's the same thing as your estate plan, your wills and trust. You have to plan for it, and even though it may not happen or it may not happen for a long time, it's important to do that so you can protect what you worked hard for and and protect the things that you can pass down to your kids. So like I said, make sure you plan properly. And then obviously, I left a little bit of time for some questions, but you can always contact me or contact anybody just to make sure that you know how to protect yourself. So, yeah. One is not more, important than the trust. The trust is not more important than the will, or will is not more important than the trust. If there is a difference between the two, that means you didn't get a good attorney, because then there should not be a difference between the two. Mhm. Correct. There's there's no more power of the other one. It's just bad writing. If that's the case, then it's bad. You Whoever prepared it didn't do it right. So what's going to happen is, if there's a discrepancy between the two, then you have to go to a judge, and the judge is going to decide it. So that's why it's important to make sure you pick the right person to prepare it, because there shouldn't be that type of mistake. Yeah. No, it's only the people that signed it. So if it's a husband and wife, I will do a family revocable trust, and the only people that can revoke that or change it is the two parents. No. Your trust actually doesn't, it becomes valid right away once you sign it. It's not triggered, it doesn't come into effect until you pass away. So that's why it's irrevocable. You can change it. So it doesn't come into effect until the second person passes away. Or if it's just a single person trust, it doesn't come into effect until you pass away. So um, if you bring a trust in to the bank, they're going to say, well, this doesn't mean anything right now because you're still alive. Now, what you want to do, and the banks, to do that, so I get your question, you want to put the beneficiary in your bank account as the trust, okay? Because then it's just automatic that the bank will transfer the money to the trust, and then the trust will control after that. Same thing if you want to do your life insurance. You can put the trust as the beneficiary of the life insurance. So you could put that in there, and then all the instructions for the trust is now taken care of in the life insurance. So, but the actual control that the trust has, or the trustee would have, doesn't come into effect until you pass away. Yeah. So yeah, no, you can add whatever you want in a trust or a will. So you can give instructions on anything. I have clients that if there's an alcohol problem, you're not going to get your inheritance until you show that there's 5 years of no alcohol. Stuff like that. You can do any instruction you want. Safety deposit box. Yeah. No, it doesn't matter as long as you put in the trust, and that's more of an individual, type of question. But yeah, safety deposit boxes are a little bit different, so you have to be careful. Yeah. So if you have authority, you give the trust the authority to the bank, then you're allowed to. But most people don't do that. No. Yeah, yeah, that happens a lot. I have 50% of my cases. The brother is contesting the will of the sister, or the brother stole the money from the sister or from the mom, and now the sister is fighting. So yeah, you have wills that you can contest depending on what the issue is. I do my best to avoid, like that one slide. litigation, because if you plan now and you do it right, you're going to avoid hopefully family fighting. There's always going to be some family fighting, but you reduce it as much as possible. I'm sorry. No, no. The tax part of it is more what you're going to do with it after. So, for instance, if you move, usually the trust will be a little bit better, just because if you move, let's say, your house into the trust, um, then all you're doing is transferring the deed into the trust, so there's no capital gains there. Once the trust sells the property, then you'll have your capital gain tax and all that. But until that happens, you can leave it. That's why a lot of the rich people just leave it in the trust. Is they can leave it for 500 years and you still have use of the property, and no one's paying any taxes on, or at least the capital gains. There's still obviously your home property tax, but any type of transfers, if you just leave it in the trust with the instructions on who gets to live there, or whatever the instructions are, you can avoid a lot of different taxes. Yeah. Usually I'll talk to the accountant or CPA to make sure we're on the same page. So there's a lot of different ways you can reduce the taxes based on that, on the way you plan. Okay. Well, thank you guys very much. And if you didn't get the number, I have a couple of cards you can come grab, and then I'm happy to answer any questions later on. So thanks, man.